Hello and welcome to the third video for Thing with a Ring. In this video we're going to cover events and we're going to cover variants of the game. So, on your turn, should you draw a quest card and it is a sudden event, the first thing you do is turn each Robert's Trixie card to the Trixie card side. So in this it's face down, so we turn that face up. Harry Hogwash here, he's already face up, so we just leave it the way it is. Then that goes to the discard pile. Then you draw an event card. So whatever the event tells you to do, you follow the instructions and that is the event over. Should you draw an event and it's something that you can't do, it's called a non-event, in which case you would place it in the discard pile and you would simply draw another card. If you have the ring and draw an event, you always do the event first. So you would refresh any Trixie cards and you would draw an event. And then you would complete the other card that you'd drawn. If you happen to draw two events, what you would do is you would refresh any Trixies, you would draw two event cards, and then both are going to get played, but you choose in which order they get played. Again, if one card would be a non-event, you would just discard it and you would replace it with a new card. Next up is Advanced Quest. This is a variant which adds more complexity to the game and adds more tension as well. It plays exactly the same as the main game with one exception. You have the party on the Advanced Quest side, and if you ever get the situation where there is a Robert, a ring, an elf and a dwarf, at least one of each, then there is a chance the party might depart at the end of your turn. So in this case, I have the ring at the party with an elf and a dwarf, so I have to roll for Elven Enchantment. So in this situation, I would roll the dice, I've rolled the Elven Enchantment, and then we're all going to go off on the party and the game ends. You would roll once for each elf icon, just as you would in the basic game. Elves can only enchant once per turn as usual, so if you happen to be getting dragged to the party, you couldn't then be enchanted away on the quest as well on that same turn. The other thing you can get is it's possible for Goodman Two Shoes to arrive. He can take the ring, and at the end of every player's turn, Goodman Two Shoes also would roll to see if the party goes on the quest, and that would cause the game to end, and then we would have to go to tiebreakers for the other players. This next variant, Mind Quest, can be played with any of the other variants. It can be played with the standard game, it can be played with the advanced game, and it can also be played with the solo game. And in it, each player is dealt a card at the start of the game, which is kept secret. And then on your turn, you draw a card, and then you choose which one to play. So, for instance, here I have a dwarf and a goblin, and I could choose which one to play, and it would have to go to my location, so I would choose the goblin. It seems a simple addition to make, but it does make the game a lot more thinky, and we don't recommend it for introductory games with new players. This gives you a lot more tactical decisions to make in the game of what you play and when. One note to make is if you draw a sudden event, you choose if you want that sudden event to be played. You don't have to play the sudden event. You could play the dwarf or the sudden event, and you would follow the appropriate rules for each. The third variant of Thing with a Ring, which is the Solo Quest, which is a fun solo game version. In this, you need to do a little bit of setup first. You need to remove the 3 royal cards for Shadow, Excuse and Magic. They're just removed from the game. Depending on the difficulty, you have 0, 1, 2 or 3 royal cards in. So in this, I'm going to have 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle that, and 1 goes in at random, and the others are placed face down out of the game. So I've got 1 royal card in here, and I'm not sure which one it is at this point in time. Next thing I do is we're playing to try and send Goodman Two Shoes on the quest with the ring. You take that event out of the event deck, you place it face up, and it goes on the bottom of the quest deck. In this game, you draw 1 card at a time, just like you would in the normal one. So here I've drawn a Shadow. I can either zap it or at the end of my turn, take the ring, in which case next turn I would draw 2 cards. And you have to keep playing the game until you get all the way through the quest deck. And Goodman Two Shoes appears. However, if you've got all the way through the quest deck, you have to make sure that you have no shadow, because at the end of the game, you need to be in your pit. It can be hidden or unhidden. Goodman Two Shoes needs to have the ring, so he will take the ring when he turns up as usual, and you need to have no shadow left. If you have any shadow left, the ring will come back to you and you have lost the game. The winning conditions are slightly different for the solo game. That is the only way to win. You cannot win by getting 6 excuse icons or 6 magic icons. You cannot become the new thing with the ring. In addition to that, the game does still end if you get 6 dwarves, 6 elves or 6 goblins at one location at the end of your turn. Should that happen, you also lose the game and go on the quest. The only way to win is if at the end, Goodman Two Shoes has the ring and you have no shadow and you're in your pit. It's quite a difficult little challenge. It's quite fun to play. And as I said, once you've mastered the basic game, you can add in more royal cards. When you're playing the solo mode, you cannot normally defeat royal cards. So if there's a battle and this would be defeated here, it would simply go to the party. However, if you have been dragged to the party and the Elf Queen has come with you and there's a battle and the elf would be defeated, there is then no valid locations for that Elf Queen to go to. There's no robber pits for it to go to, so it then be discarded. That is quite a difficult thing to arrange in the game. You've got to have goblins in the right place. So the more of these you have, the harder it gets, because it's going to get very easy when you have royal cards for 6 icons of the same type to build up in the game. And if you get 6 of them at the end of your turn, you can't get rid of them, then you've lost. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that explains most of the basics for Thing with the Ring. It's a game where you have lots of unique endings. You feel as though you've played through a little story.